Listen to me, the turning point in your life will not come from luck, money, connections, or a miracle falling out of the sky. It will come the moment you stop running from responsibility and start owning everything: the pain, the mistakes, the setbacks, the bad decisions, all of it. Because as long as it's somebody else's fault, you will always be powerless. As long as you keep saying, "They did this to me, life did this to me, the system did this to me," you're handing away the steering wheel of your own future. I know it hurts. I know some of you were done wrong. Some of you were abandoned, betrayed, overlooked, underestimated. Some of you gave your best and still got broken in return. But hear me clearly. What happened to you is not your fault, but what you do next is absolutely your responsibility. And that's where your power lies, not in the past, not in revenge, not in complaining. Your power lies in your next decision. See, excuses feel good in the moment because they protect your ego. They give you permission to stay where you are. But they are also chains. Every excuse you repeat is another lock on the cage you're living in. I'm too tired. I don't have support. I didn't get the same opportunities. Maybe all of that is true, but none of it will rebuild your life. The world doesn't reward excuses. It rewards execution. Responsibility is heavy, yes, it's uncomfortable. It forces you to look in the mirror and say, if my life is going to change, it starts with me. No applause. No audience, no shortcuts. Just you deciding that from this day forward, you are done being a victim of your circumstances and ready to become the architect of your future. Because once you take responsibility, something incredible happens. You stop waiting. You stop hoping someone will save you. You stop needing permission to grow. You realize you don't have to control everything to change something. You start where you are with what you have and you move, and movement creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates transformation. Let me be real with you. Nobody is coming to rescue you. Not your friends, not your family, not your boss, not the government, not luck. And that's not bad news. That's freedom. Because if nobody is coming, that means the hero of your story is already here. You don't need to be chosen. You don't need to be discovered. You don't need to wait your turn. You just need to decide that your life matters enough to fight for. Stop blaming your past for a future you haven't even tried to build yet. Stop rehearsing your pain and start rehearsing your purpose. Stop telling the story of why you can't and start writing the story of how you will. You may not be responsible for the storm, but you are responsible for rebuilding after it. Brick by brick, day by day, decision by decision, and don't expect it to feel fair. Growth is not fair. Discipline is not fair. Accountability is not fair, but they work. They work when motivation disappears. They work when nobody believes in you. They work when progress is slow and results are invisible. Responsibility doesn't guarantee comfort. It guarantees progress. So tonight, tomorrow morning, whenever you hear this, I need you to draw a line in your mind. On one side is the old story: blame, excuses, waiting, wishing. On the other side is ownership, action, and rebuilding, and once you step across that line, don't look back. Not because the past didn't matter, but because your future matters more. Your life begins to change the second you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start declaring, "What am I going to do about it?" Take your power back. Now listen carefully, because this part right here is where most people say they want change, but they don't actually want transformation. Everybody wants a new life, but nobody wants to become a new person. You cannot rebuild your life while protecting the very version of you that destroyed it. That mindset, those habits, those routines, that comfort zone, if they built the pain you're living in, why are you still defending them? Growth is not decoration. It is demolition. Before you can construct something stronger, something healthier, something powerful, something unshakable, you have to tear down what's weak. And demolition is loud, it's messy, it's uncomfortable, it doesn't feel inspirational, it feels like loss. Because you're not just losing bad habits, you're losing familiarity. You're losing the identity you've been carrying, even if that identity has been holding you hostage. Some of you keep saying, "This is just who I am." No, that's who you've practiced being, and anything practiced can be replaced. You can't keep the same thinking that led you into chaos and expect it to lead you into peace. You can't keep the same discipline level that produced mediocrity and expect excellence to suddenly show up. You can't keep entertaining distractions, feeding fears, and surrounding yourself with negativity, then wonder why your life won't move forward. You don't need a new opportunity, you need a new operating system, and let me be real with you, breaking the old version of yourself hurts because it feels like betrayal. You'll outgrow conversations you once enjoyed. You'll distance yourself from environments that once felt normal. You'll start saying no to things that used to control you, and people won't always celebrate that. Some will say you've changed. Some will say you think you're better. Some will try to pull you back into the comfort of who you used to be, because your growth makes them confront their own stagnation. But you are not here to stay comfortable. You are here to become capable. The late nights scrolling instead of building that has to go. The procrastination disguised as "I'll start tomorrow," that has to go. The fear that whispers, "What if you fail?" that has to be replaced with, "What if you never try?" The toxic relationships that drain your energy, your focus, your self-worth, those cannot come with you into your rebuilt life. You don't carry poison into a healing process, and don't wait until you feel ready. Readiness is a myth. You become ready by moving. You become strong by struggling. You become confident by doing things before confidence shows up. The old version of you waits for perfect conditions. The new version creates progress in imperfect conditions. Every day you choose discipline over comfort, courage over fear, action over excuses. You are literally starving the old identity and feeding the new one. It won't happen overnight. There will be days you slip, days you doubt, days you feel like nothing is changing. But even demolition takes time. Walls don't fall with one hit, they fall with repeated impact. So stop trying to negotiate with the person you used to be. Stop saying, "I'll change, but I'll keep this one habit, this one comfort, this one excuse." No, partial commitment produces partial results. If you want a different life, you need a different standard. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear: the new you is already inside you, but it's buried under layers of fear, comfort, insecurity, and routine. Your job is not to invent greatness. It's to uncover it by removing everything that's been suffocating it. You don't need permission to evolve. You don't need approval to grow. You don't need consensus to become dangerous to your limitations. So let the old version of you be uncomfortable. Let it panic. Let it resist, because that resistance is proof that change is actually happening. Burn the excuses. Break the patterns. Outgrow the limits. Become someone your past can no longer contain. Let me tell you something that most people don't want to hear. Motivation is unreliable. It feels amazing when it shows up, but it disappears the moment life gets hard. You feel motivated when the video is playing, when the music is loud, when everything is going your way. But what about when you're tired? What about when you're discouraged? What about when nobody is clapping, nobody is watching, nobody even cares whether you show up or not? That's where your life is really decided. Because motivation might get you started, but discipline is what carries you across the finish line. You cannot rebuild your life on feelings. Feelings change with the weather. Feelings change with sleep. Feelings change with one bad conversation, one disappointment, one moment of doubt. If your actions depend on how you feel, then your progress will always be inconsistent. Some days you'll move forward, other days you'll fall back, and at the end of the year you'll wonder why nothing really changed. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. Discipline says do it anyway. It's waking up when your body says stay in bed. It's working when your mind says take a break. It's staying focused when distractions are screaming your name. It's keeping promises to yourself long after the excitement fades. Anybody can grind when they feel inspired. Champions grind when they feel empty. And listen, discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect in action. It's you telling yourself, my future matters more than my comfort right now. Every time you choose the hard thing over the easy thing, you are casting a vote for the person you are becoming. One choice won't transform you, but thousands of small choices repeated daily will build a version of you that cannot be stopped. People always ask for the secret. They want the shortcut, the hack, the overnight transformation, but rebuilding a life is not magic, it's masonry. Brick by brick, day by day, repetition after repetition, the boring work, the unseen work, the work that doesn't get applause, that's the work that changes everything. There will be mornings when you question yourself, nights when progress feels invisible, weeks when it seems like you're pushing with all your strength and nothing is moving. That's when most people quit, not because they can't continue, but because they don't see immediate results. Discipline keeps going even when the reward is delayed, and let me be clear, discipline is not about perfection. You will mess up, you will miss days, you will have moments of weakness. The disciplined person is not the one who never falls, it's the one who refuses to stay down. They don't turn one mistake into a permanent lifestyle. They reset fast, they get back up fast, they keep the promise alive. Your environment will test you. Your friends may not understand. Your old habits will try to pull you back like gravity. Comfort will whisper, you've done enough. Doubt will whisper, what's the point? But discipline answers with action, not arguments. It just shows up again and again and again. Over time, something powerful happens. What once felt hard becomes normal. What once required willpower becomes automatic. You don't fight yourself as much because the disciplined version of you becomes your default setting. You stop negotiating with weakness because strength has become your routine, and that's when rebuilding accelerates. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for the perfect mood, the perfect time, the perfect circumstances. Those don't create discipline. Discipline creates them. Start small if you must, but start consistently. Keep stacking wins, no matter how tiny they seem. Small daily victories compound into unstoppable momentum. At the end of the day, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And if your habits are strong enough, even your worst days won't derail your future. Do the work, especially when you don't feel like it. There comes a moment, not a loud moment, not a dramatic moment, but a quiet, unshakable decision where you stop treating change like an option and start treating it like a necessity. Up to that point, quitting is always on the table. You try, but you leave yourself an escape route. You push, but only until it gets uncomfortable. You commit, but only as long as it's convenient, and that's why nothing truly transforms, because your mind knows there's always a back door. But when you decide that failure is no longer an option, you don't just close the door, you burn the bridge behind you. This is not about arrogance. It's not about pretending you won't struggle. It's about removing the possibility of going back to the life that broke you. It's about saying, I may be slow, I may be tired, I may get knocked down, but I am not turning around. That kind of decision changes the way you approach everything. Obstacles stop looking like stop signs and start looking like tests. Pain stops feeling pointless and starts feeling purposeful. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they negotiate with discomfort. The moment something gets hard, expensive, inconvenient, or uncertain, they start asking, maybe this isn't for me. But when failure is no longer an option, that question disappears. You don't ask if you should continue, you figure out how to continue. Your why becomes louder than your excuses. Think about the times in your life when quitting truly wasn't an option. You found strength you didn't know you had. You endured things you once thought would break you. You adapted, you fought, you survived. Not because it was easy, but because you decided that giving up was unacceptable. That same energy applied to rebuilding your life makes you unstoppable, and understand this, deciding doesn't eliminate fear. You will still feel doubt. You will still hear that voice whispering, what if you fail? What if you're not enough? What if it doesn't work? The difference is that those voices no longer control your actions. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is movement in spite of it. When failure is not an option, creativity increases. You look for solutions instead of excuses. You learn new skills instead of complaining about limitations. You ask for help instead of suffering in silence. You adjust strategies instead of abandoning goals. You become resourceful because retreat is no longer available. And yes, there will be days that feel unbearable. Days when progress is invisible. Days when you question whether the sacrifice is worth it. In those moments, your decision becomes your anchor. You don't rely on emotion. You rely on commitment. You remind yourself that temporary pain is the price of permanent change. Stop giving yourself permission to settle. Stop tolerating a life that drains you. Stop shrinking your dreams to match your fears. You are not built to live small, safe, and stagnant. You were built to grow, to fight, to rebuild, to rise. Some people wait for rock bottom to make this decision. They wait until there's nothing left to lose. But you don't have to wait for disaster to wake you up. You can choose right now that average is no longer acceptable, that survival is no longer enough, that your future deserves more than your past delivered. When this decision locks in, something shifts inside you. You stop comparing your pace to others because quitting isn't part of your story anymore. You stop obsessing over how long it will take because you're committed for as long as it takes. You stop fearing failure because even failure becomes feedback, not a final destination. You become dangerous to your old limits. So draw the line in your heart, not in sand but in stone. Decide that the person you are becoming matters too much to abandon. Decide that the life you are rebuilding is worth every ounce of effort, every sleepless night, every uncomfortable step forward. No more retreat, no more surrender, no more going back. Forward is the only direction left.